Imagine waking up one morning, your mind racing with thoughts' endless worries, unresolved doubts, and the weight of the world pressing down on your chest. You've tried everything: meditation, deep breathing, even long walks, but nothing seems to bring the calm you desperately seek. Then, one day, while you're sitting in silence, something shifts. A quiet realization sweeps over you, a simple truth: your peace has never been lost. It has always been within you, waiting for you to stop fighting, stop searching, and simply let go. But what if the path to this peace is more unexpected and more radical than you ever imagined? What if the very thing you've been holding on to, the one thing you fear losing the most, is actually the key to your freedom? Stay with me, because the answer might just change everything you thought you knew about peace. You don't want to miss what's coming next. If this story resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe to Buddhism in Every Moment. Your support helps us create more powerful, life-changing content that will continue to inspire and guide you on your journey toward inner peace. 1. The battle within: how to stop fighting yourself. There's a battle we all face, one that no one can see, but everyone feels. It's the fight that rages inside our minds, where doubt, fear, and anxiety wage war against our sense of peace. We often find ourselves trapped in this internal struggle, convinced that the key to happiness lies in external changes. We tell ourselves, if only I could get that job, fix my relationships, or find the perfect life balance, then I would finally be at peace. But the reality is, no amount of external success or validation can silence the storm inside if we haven't first learned how to stop fighting with ourselves. Imagine, for a moment, standing on the edge of a cliff, feeling the wind whip around you. The noise of your own thoughts is deafening, drowning out everything else. You feel like you're being pulled in every direction, at once gripped by the need to fix things, to prove something, to escape from discomfort. But what if, instead of fighting the wind, you simply allowed yourself to be still? What if you stopped trying to control the forces inside you and simply let them be? Is where the journey to peace begins, by ceasing the endless internal struggle. Most of us don't even realize how much energy we spend fighting our own thoughts, our own emotions, and our own imperfections. We convince ourselves that to be at peace, we need to fix everything. We constantly battle the fears, doubts, and insecurities that arise, believing that each one must be defeated before we can move forward. Yet, the more we fight, the more exhausted we become, and the more disconnected we feel from the very peace we seek. The truth is, peace is not something to be fought for or fixed. It's something that can only be discovered when we stop fighting ourselves. This battle within is born from the illusion that we are incomplete, that we are somehow broken or not enough. We chase external validation, striving to prove our worth, thinking that once we achieve a certain goal or meet a certain standard, peace will magically appear. But it doesn't work that way. Peace is not an achievement. It's a state of being, one that arises only when we let go of the need to fix, control, and prove. What if, instead of fighting, we simply allowed ourselves to rest? What if we stopped engaging in the inner war and simply accepted ourselves as we are: flawed, imperfect, and yet whole? The peace we seek is not outside of us. It's already within, waiting for us to stop resisting and start embracing. The more we fight, the more we lose touch with this truth. But the moment we choose to let go of the struggle, we make space for peace to settle in. This isn't about passivity or complacency. It's about recognizing that true strength comes not from fighting the storm, but from standing firm in the face of it. It's about finding the courage to face your fears, not by trying to control them, but by acknowledging them and choosing to move forward despite them. When you stop fighting yourself, you stop feeding the fire of anxiety, self-doubt, and insecurity. You make room for something much greater: inner peace. Imagine a quiet lake, untouched by the wind. The surface is still, reflecting the beauty of the world around it. But when the wind blows, the water stirs. The surface becomes turbulent, and the reflection is distorted. The more the wind blows, the more chaotic the lake becomes. Yet beneath the surface, the water remains still, unshaken, and calm. Your mind is like that lake. When you stop reacting to the winds of your thoughts, fears, and emotions, you will find a deep, unshakable stillness within. The battle within doesn't have to be fought. It can be surrendered. The moment you stop resisting, you open yourself up to a sense of peace that has always been there, waiting for you to discover it. Let go of the need to fight. Let go of the need to control. And in that release, you will find the peace you've been searching for all along. When you stop fighting yourself, you stop draining your energy on battles that were never yours to fight. You stop carrying the weight of self-doubt and insecurity, and instead, you start living in alignment with your true self. This is the path to freedom, to a peace that is not dependent on the world around you, but rooted in the depths of your own being. It is a peace that cannot be disturbed by the chaos of life, because it is not fragile. It is unshakable. So, take a deep breath. In this moment, give yourself permission to stop fighting. Allow the storm within you to pass without needing to control it. And in the stillness that remains, you will find the peace that has always been yours. Peace is not something to attain. It is something to allow. When you stop fighting, you stop suffering. And when you stop suffering, you step into the peace that is already within you. This is the first step on the journey to unshakable peace. It begins within. And when you stop fighting, everything changes. The battle ends, and peace begins too. The illusion of control, letting go of external expectations. We are conditioned to believe that the key to peace lies in controlling the world around us. From the moment we wake up in the morning, we begin the delicate dance of trying to arrange everything just right to control our environment, our schedule, our relationships, even our thoughts. We think, if I can manage everything, everything will fall into place. And this illusion of control becomes the foundation upon which we build our lives. Yet no matter how tightly we grip the reins, life always finds a way to slip through our fingers, leaving us tired, frustrated, and more disconnected from our true peace than ever before. Think of a river. It starts as a small stream, winding its way through the earth. It faces rocks, boulders, and obstacles, but it doesn't resist. The river bends and flows, finding its way around whatever it encounters. The river doesn't try to push the stones away, it moves around them, adapting to what comes. The river's strength doesn't lie in its resistance, but in its ability to flow with the current. Life, too, is like a river. We are taught that we must push against the current, that we must force life to bend to our will. We set rigid goals, believing that if we can just control enough variables, we will finally be happy. We strive to mold our world, our relationships, our careers into something that fits our ideal picture of success and fulfillment. But in doing so, we overlook a profound truth. Peace doesn't come from controlling everything. It comes from learning to flow with life, to trust that, even when things don't go according to plan, everything is unfolding exactly as it should. The desire to control is rooted in fear of the unknown, fear of failure, fear of being left behind. We think that if we can control our circumstances, we can eliminate uncertainty. But in truth, the more we try to control, the more we lose our sense of peace. This relentless striving, this clinging to an illusion of control, drains us. We become exhausted, stretched thin by the weight of expectations, both our own and those of others. We forget that peace isn't something we can force. It is something we allow. There's an art to letting go, a skill in releasing the need to control what lies beyond our reach. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means surrendering to the natural flow of life and trusting that we are always guided. The need to control arises from the belief that we are not enough as we are. We think that only by holding tight to our plans, our possessions, our image, can we secure our peace. But peace is not something we must hold on to. It is something that we allow to settle within us when we stop fighting against life's inevitable uncertainties. When we stop trying to control every aspect of our lives, we stop resisting the natural flow of things. We learn to accept the twists and turns, the unexpected events, and the surprises that life throws our way. We stop trying to mold everything into a perfect shape and instead begin to appreciate the beauty in life's imperfection. This is where true peace lies, not in the control we hold over our circumstances, but in the acceptance of them as they are. Think for a moment of a time when you tried desperately to make something happen, when you pushed and forced an outcome, only to find that the harder you tried, the further away your goal seemed. You may have felt frustration, anger, even hopelessness. But then, at some point, something changed. You let go. You surrendered to the moment. And in that moment of release, you found clarity. You found peace. It wasn't in forcing the outcome, it was in allowing it to unfold as it would. This is the essence of the Buddhist teaching. The path to peace is not through force, but through acceptance. When we stop demanding that life conform to our expectations, we open ourselves to the possibility of true freedom. We free ourselves from the constant pressure to control, and we begin to experience life as it is, unpredictable, imperfect, but ultimately beautiful in its imperfection. It is important to note that letting go does not mean being passive or indifferent. Letting go means trusting that, while we cannot control everything, we can control how we respond to what comes our way. It means choosing peace, choosing acceptance, even in the face of the unknown. When we stop trying to control everything, we discover that life has a way of working itself out, often in ways we could never have imagined. The universe has its own rhythm, its own flow, and when we align ourselves with it, we tap into a deep, unshakable peace that nothing can disturb. Imagine the freedom of living without the constant pressure of control. Picture yourself waking up in the morning without the burden of trying to control your day. Instead of making plans with an iron grip, you approach each moment with an open heart, ready to embrace whatever comes your way. You trust that everything, even the challenges, will serve your growth and lead you to exactly where you need to be. This freedom is not a fantasy. It is available to you, right now, if you are willing to let go of the illusion of control. The next time you find yourself overwhelmed by the need to control, take a deep breath. Pause for a moment. Release your grip and let the current of life guide you. Trust that, even if things don't go according to your plan, everything is unfolding exactly as it should. In that moment, you will find the peace you've been searching for. You'll feel it in your body, in your mind, and in your heart. Peace is not something you can force. It is something you allow. When you let go of the illusion of control, you make room for something much greater, peace that comes from within, untouched by the outside world. Peace that is always present, always available, and always yours. It's time to stop fighting the flow of life. It's time to let go and trust that, in surrender, you will find your way through. Detachment. Protecting your peace without closing off, we often hear the word detachment and associate it with distance, coldness, or even indifference. It's easy to misunderstand detachment as a form of shutting down, of closing our hearts and minds off from the world. But true detachment, when practiced with wisdom and compassion, is not about rejecting life or shutting ourselves off from others. It is about freeing ourselves from the grip of attachment, freeing ourselves from the need to control, possess, or cling to people, outcomes, or even our own emotions. This is the path to real peace. At the core of detachment is the understanding that nothing in life, whether it's a relationship, a success, or an object, can ever truly fulfill us if we depend on it for our happiness. We give so much of ourselves to external things, believing that our peace, our sense of self-worth, and our joy depend on them. We attach ourselves to the idea that if we achieve certain things or hold on to certain people, we will be happy. But in doing so, we become bound. We give away our freedom, our peace, and our power to external circumstances. Imagine a bird in flight. The bird moves freely through the air, navigating the winds, never clinging to the branch or the ground. It rests only when it chooses to, without fear of falling. The bird is detached, not from the world, but from the need to control its environment. It moves effortlessly, gracefully, because it knows its true freedom comes not from clinging, but from letting go. This is what true detachment looks like. Detachment is not about withdrawing from life or people. It's not about building walls or isolating ourselves. In fact, true detachment allows us to love and connect more deeply because we are no longer attached to the outcomes or expectations of others. We learn to love without the need for validation, to give without the expectation of receiving, and to engage without fear of loss. It's a profound shift that transforms the way we experience life and relationships. When we practice detachment, we create space for others to be who they truly are, without the pressure of our expectations weighing on them. We stop trying to shape people and situations to fit our desires, and instead, we accept them as they are. This does not mean we stop caring. It means we care without attachment to the outcome. We learn to love without needing to possess. We give without expecting anything in return. Think about the times when you have clung to someone or something, when your happiness was dependent on their presence, their actions, or their approval. In those moments, how did you feel? Did your attachment bring you peace, or did it bring you anxiety, fear, and disappointment when things didn't go as you expected? True peace comes when we stop seeking to control or hold on to what is fleeting. It comes when we release the need to be attached to outcomes, when we stop defining our worth by what we have or who is around us. In practicing detachment, we begin to realize that our peace doesn't come from others or from circumstances. It comes from within. We are not defined by our possessions, our achievements, or even our relationships. These things are beautiful, but they are not the source of our inner peace. The more we try to hold on, the more we entangle ourselves in suffering. The more we learn to let go, the more we open ourselves to the fullness of life. Detachment also allows us to experience life with a sense of ease and joy that is unaffected by external conditions. When we release the need to control, we create space for flow. We stop trying to force things into place and instead allow them to unfold naturally. It's like standing at the edge of a river and letting the current carry you. There's no need to paddle against the current to fight the flow. Instead, we trust that the river knows its way, and so do we. This doesn't mean we live passively or without effort. It means we no longer exhaust ourselves by trying to control things we cannot change. We focus on what we can control: our thoughts, our responses, and our actions, while releasing the need to control everything else. It's in this release that we find true strength. We no longer need to fight the world, because we understand that we are not at the mercy of it. Our peace is within, and no external force can take that away. In relationships, detachment doesn't mean we stop loving or caring for others. It means we stop trying to change them to meet our needs. It means we accept them as they are, free of expectations. We love them, but we do not possess them. We support them, but we do not depend on them for our happiness. In doing so, we create space for genuine connection, for love that is unconditional and free. When we detach, we stop living for the approval of others. We stop seeking validation from external sources. We stop letting the judgments and opinions of others dictate how we feel about ourselves. We realize that our worth is inherent and unshakable. No person, no opinion, no situation can define us. We are enough, just as we are. The key to detachment lies in understanding that nothing is permanent. People come and go. Circumstances change. We are constantly in flux, and the things we attach ourselves to will eventually change, fade, or disappear. The more we attach ourselves to these temporary things, the more we invite suffering into our lives. But when we learn to let go, when we embrace the impermanence of life, we discover a peace that is unshakable and eternal. Imagine standing in the middle of a storm. The wind howls, the rain pours down, and the world around you is chaotic. But you stand firm, unshaken, because you know the storm will pass. You know that beneath the clouds, the sky is always clear. This is the power of detachment. The storms of life may come, but they cannot shake your inner peace. You stand firm in the knowledge that you are not the storm. You are the sky. Detachment is not about escaping life. It's about embracing it fully, without fear, without attachment. It's about finding freedom in the present moment, trusting that, no matter what happens, you will remain rooted in your peace. This peace is yours to keep, and nothing can take it away. When you let go of attachment, you open yourself to a life that is truly free, truly alive, and truly at peace. So, let go. Release your grip on the things that weigh you down. Let go of the need to control. Let go of the fear of loss. And in that release, you will find the peace that has always been waiting for you. Peace is not something to attain. It is something to allow. Let go, and you will discover a freedom beyond measure. 4. The power of silent awareness, observing thoughts without judging. There's a quiet power in stillness that we too often overlook. In a world that never stops moving, where distractions are constant, and noise fills every corner of our lives, it can be incredibly difficult to find true peace. We are trained to react quickly, to fill every silence, to avoid discomfort. But the deepest peace lies not in avoiding or suppressing our thoughts, but in observing them with awareness, without judgment. Think of your mind as a vast sky, and your thoughts are like clouds passing by. The clouds come in different shapes and sizes, some dark and heavy, others light and fluffy. Some storm in quickly, while others drift lazily. But no matter how many clouds there are, the sky remains constant, vast, and unaffected. Your mind is like this sky, and your thoughts are like the clouds. The key to peace is learning to observe these clouds, these thoughts, without allowing them to define who you are. We often believe that we are our thoughts. When a thought arises, whether it's about the past, the future, or some judgment about ourselves or others, we tend to latch onto it. We start to identify with it, shape our emotions around it, and allow it to control our actions. But in doing so, we lose our true nature. We become entangled in the web of our thoughts, caught up in the illusion that they are who we are. In reality, we are not our thoughts. We are the awareness in which those thoughts arise. Silent awareness is the practice of stepping back and watching the thoughts come and go without becoming attached to them. It's a practice of noticing, simply noticing what is happening in your mind without getting involved. This is where the power lies. When you stop reacting to every thought, when you stop identifying with every emotion, you create a space of peace, a space of clarity. You begin to see your thoughts for what they are, fleeting mental formations that have no permanent hold over you. Consider for a moment the act of simply sitting in silence. The moment you sit quietly, you may notice the flood of thoughts that arise. They come rushing in like waves, each one pushing against the shore of your consciousness. But what happens if you don't immediately engage with them? What if, instead of reacting, you simply let the waves come and go, knowing that they will pass, as they always do? In that space of non-reaction, something remarkable happens. The storm of your mind begins to settle. The thoughts lose their power, and you remain untouched. This is the essence of silent awareness, the ability to observe without judgment. When we observe without judgment, we stop labeling our thoughts as good or bad, right or wrong. We stop judging ourselves for having certain thoughts or feelings. This is crucial because judgment only creates more mental noise. We judge ourselves for not being perfect, for having doubts, for feeling anxious, and in doing so, we make the thoughts stronger. The more we resist them, the more power we give them. But when we stop judging our thoughts and simply let them be, we release their grip on us. We allow ourselves to experience life without the constant filter of judgment. We stop trying to control what we think, and instead, we begin to simply observe it all. This is where true freedom lies. In the space of non-attachment to our thoughts, we find clarity. We find peace. To observe without judgment means to be compassionate with yourself. It means accepting whatever arises in your mind without the need to fix or change it. Thoughts of fear, doubt, anger, or frustration will come, but they are not you. They are temporary, like clouds passing across the sky. You are the sky. The sky does not resist the clouds, it simply allows them to pass through. And when the clouds are gone, the sky remains clear and vast. This practice is not about suppressing thoughts or emotions. It is about acknowledging them without giving them control over your actions. It's about being present with whatever arises, without trying to change it. When you let go of the need to judge or control your thoughts, you create a space for them to dissolve on their own. They lose their power, and you reclaim your peace. The beauty of silent awareness is that it allows you to fully experience each moment without being overwhelmed by it. It gives you the ability to be present with life, without being carried away by the currents of your thoughts. In this space, you are free. You are free from the tyranny of your mind, free from the need to analyze every thought or feeling. You are simply present, and in that presence, you find peace. There is a profound stillness that exists beneath the surface of our busy minds. This stillness is always there, waiting for us to recognize it. It is the space where clarity arises, where wisdom is born, and where true peace resides. When we practice silent awareness, we tap into this stillness. We let go of the noise, the distractions, and the judgments, and we connect with the quiet power that lies within us. Think of the times in your life when you have been completely present, when you weren't caught up in your thoughts, when you weren't analyzing or judging, but simply being. Perhaps it was in a moment of nature, or during a conversation, or while doing something you love. In those moments, didn't you feel a sense of peace, of clarity, of connection to something greater? That is the power of silent awareness. It is always available to us, if we choose to stop and simply observe. The practice of silent awareness is a gift you give yourself. It allows you to detach from the noise of the world and reconnect with your true nature. It helps you see your thoughts for what they are: temporary, fleeting, and ultimately inconsequential to your sense of self. When you practice this awareness, you step out of the cycle of mental turmoil and into a place of deep peace. You allow yourself to be present with whatever arises, without the need to react. And in that space, you find clarity, freedom, and a peace that is unshakable. So take a moment now to close your eyes and simply observe your thoughts. Notice what comes and goes. Don't judge it, don't try to control it, just watch it. Feel the peace that comes when you allow your mind to simply be. This is the power of silent awareness, and it is always available to you, in every moment. When you let go of the need to react, you open the door to the peace that lies within. And in that peace, you will find everything you've been searching for. 5. Letting go, not weakness, but courage. In a world that often glorifies strength, resilience, and the constant pursuit of more, the concept of letting go can seem foreign, perhaps even weak. We are taught that to succeed, we must hold on, fight harder, and never give in. We are told that to survive, we must control, accumulate, and protect at all costs. But what if the true path to strength, peace, and fulfillment lies not in holding on, but in the quiet courage to release? Letting go is often mistaken for weakness, as if it's a surrender to the forces outside of our control. But in truth, letting go is an act of profound strength. It is the courage to face life's uncertainties without clinging, to embrace the ebb and flow of the universe without fearing what we may lose. Letting go is not about abandoning or running away. It is about releasing the illusion that we have to hold everything together, that we have to control the outcome of every situation. It is the recognition that true strength lies in our ability to flow with life, to adapt, and to trust that everything, even our losses, is part of a larger, beautiful design. Think of a tree in a storm. The wind howls and the branches bend, but the tree does not fight the wind. Instead, it bends with it, allowing the storm to pass without resistance. The tree does not hold on tightly to its leaves. It lets them fall when the time comes. It is in the letting go that the tree finds its balance. It survives not by resisting the storm, but by surrendering to its forces. In the same way, we too must learn to surrender, not to be passive or weak, but to find the strength that lies in releasing our grip. Letting go requires a deep trust in life and in ourselves. It requires the courage to step into the unknown, to release our attachment to outcomes, and to embrace the freedom that comes with surrender. We are not meant to control every part of our lives. The idea that we must manage everything is a burden that exhausts us. It creates tension, stress, and a never-ending cycle of dissatisfaction. We push, we strive, and we chase, thinking that we must control everything to be safe, to be happy. But what we often overlook is that the very act of holding on, of grasping tightly to what we think we need, keeps us from experiencing the peace and joy that are already available to us. Letting go is not a one-time act. It is a continuous practice, a choice we make moment by moment. It's the decision to release the need for perfection, the need to control, and the need for approval. It's the ability to accept ourselves as we are, with all our imperfections and flaws, knowing that our worth is inherent, not dependent on the approval of others or on our achievements. When we let go, we stop defining ourselves by what we have or what we've accomplished. We stop tying our happiness to external circumstances and start finding it within ourselves. This act of letting go extends beyond possessions or achievements. It also applies to our relationships, our fears, and our expectations. So much of our suffering comes from the attachment to people, to the belief that others are the key to our happiness, or that we must hold on to them tightly in order to feel secure. But when we cling too tightly, we strangle the very thing we seek to protect. We suffocate our relationships, our joy, and our peace. True love, true connection, does not come from control. It comes from acceptance, from allowing others to be who they are, without the need to change or possess them. Similarly, we hold on to our fears, believing that, by holding on to them, we can protect ourselves. We are afraid of what might happen if we let go of our worries, of our need to plan, of our fear of the unknown. But by holding on to these fears, we remain trapped. They control us. They limit our freedom. Letting go of fear is not about erasing it completely. It is about no longer allowing it to define us. It is about recognizing that fear is just a passing cloud, a temporary feeling that, if we don't engage with it, will dissipate on its own. The courage to let go is often most needed when we face loss. Loss of a job, a relationship, a dream. We fight against the pain of letting go, thinking that by holding on to the past, we can keep it alive. But the truth is, nothing in life is permanent. Everything is in constant flux. When we let go, we free ourselves from the past and open ourselves to the future. We allow ourselves to heal, to grow, and to move forward with the wisdom that comes from surrendering to life's flow. Letting go is not about giving up. It's about embracing the truth that we are not defined by our possessions, our achievements, or our past. We are free to create, to grow, and to live fully in the present moment. By letting go of the need to control, we discover the peace that is always within us. It is not something we need to earn or fight for. It is a state of being that arises when we stop resisting, when we stop clinging, and when we simply allow life to be as it is. The path to peace is not through force or control. It is through surrender. It is the act of letting go that allows us to discover our true strength, our true power. When we let go, we find freedom. Freedom from the need to prove ourselves, freedom from the fear of loss, and freedom from the illusion that we must control everything in our lives. It is in this freedom that we find peace that is unshakable, unbreakable, and eternal. So, take a moment to ask yourself, what are you holding on to? What are you afraid to let go of? What in your life is draining your energy, your peace, and your joy? Now, imagine what it would feel like to release it, to let go of the burden, the fear, the expectation. Feel the lightness that comes with this release. Feel the freedom that arises when you stop fighting, when you stop controlling, and when you simply surrender to life. In that surrender, you will find the peace you've been seeking all along. 6. The invisible chains of people-pleasing, breaking free from an early age. We are often taught the importance of making others happy, of being agreeable, and of avoiding conflict at all costs. This ingrained desire to please, to gain approval, becomes so natural that it's easy to forget how much of our energy and peace we sacrifice in the process. People-pleasing can feel like an act of kindness, a way to show love and compassion to others. But underneath it, it is driven by fear. Fear of rejection. Fear of disapproval. Fear of not being enough. At the core of people-pleasing is the unspoken belief that our worth is determined by how others see us, by how much we are able to give, and by how often we sacrifice ourselves for others. This belief traps us in a cycle of self-neglect. We begin to prioritize the needs, desires, and expectations of others over our own, losing touch with who we truly are in the process. Over time, this sacrifice of self becomes an invisible chain, binding us to the opinions and desires of others, and gradually, the joy and peace we once had become a distant memory. The problem with people-pleasing is that it never ends. No matter how much we give, no matter how many compromises we make, it is never enough. There will always be someone with new expectations, a new demand, or a new way we can improve ourselves to fit their ideal. We think that by meeting these demands, we will finally be loved, respected, or appreciated. But in reality, the more we bend and contort ourselves to please others, the more we lose our authenticity, and the deeper we fall into the trap of seeking external validation. This cycle is exhausting. It drains us physically, mentally, and emotionally. We give and give, often to the point of depletion, but when we look inward, we find nothing but emptiness. Our peace is compromised. Our sense of self-worth becomes tied to the approval of others, and as a result, we are never truly at peace. We are constantly in a state of waiting for someone's approval, waiting for a compliment, waiting for validation to confirm that we are enough. The key to breaking free from this cycle is understanding that our worth is not determined by others. It is inherent. Our value does not come from how much we give or how much we sacrifice for others. It comes from the simple truth that we are enough as we are. People-pleasing is a form of self-rejection. It is an attempt to earn love and respect by sacrificing our true selves. But in doing so, we give away our peace, our energy, and our authenticity. True love and connection come from a place of self-respect, not self-sacrifice. When we love ourselves first, we set healthy boundaries, and we stop seeking validation from others. We learn to say no when necessary, not out of fear, but out of respect for our own well-being. We stop molding ourselves to fit others' expectations, and instead allow ourselves to be who we truly are, free from the burden of needing approval. This is where true peace begins. Breaking free from people-pleasing requires courage. It requires the courage to face our fear of rejection, and the courage to stand in our truth, even when it's uncomfortable. It means learning to trust that the people who truly care about us will love us for who we are, not for how much we can give or how much we can change to meet their needs. It means accepting that it's okay to disappoint others because we are not responsible for their happiness, only our own. Imagine what it would feel like to live a life where you no longer sought approval from others. Imagine waking up every day knowing that your worth is not tied to someone else's opinion of you, but to the love and acceptance you give yourself. Imagine a life where you can say no without guilt, where you can prioritize your needs without feeling selfish, and where you can be fully present in your relationships without the constant anxiety of wondering if you're doing enough. This is the freedom that comes with breaking free from people-pleasing. It's important to understand that breaking free doesn't mean abandoning others or becoming indifferent to their needs. It means learning to love them from a place of wholeness, not from a place of sacrifice. It means giving without losing ourselves. It means saying yes because we genuinely want to, not because we're afraid of disappointing someone. In this way, our relationships become healthier, more authentic, and more fulfilling, because they are no longer based on false sacrifices or unspoken expectations. The journey to breaking free from people-pleasing starts with small steps. It starts with recognizing the invisible chains that bind us and understanding that we are not beholden to anyone's opinion but our own. It starts with learning to set boundaries, to say no when necessary, and to prioritize our own well-being. It starts with embracing the uncomfortable truth that we do not need to please anyone to be loved. We are worthy of love simply because we exist. As you begin to break free from the need to please others, you will notice a profound shift in your life. You will feel lighter, more at ease, and more connected to your true self. You will begin to attract people who love you for who you are, not for what you can give. And most importantly, you will rediscover the peace that comes from living authentically. This peace is yours to keep. No one can take it from you as long as you stop giving it away in the pursuit of external validation. So take a moment now and reflect. What parts of your life are you living to please others? What invisible chains are you holding on to, and how is that affecting your peace? What would it feel like to release those chains, to live for yourself, and to set the boundaries that will protect your peace? You have the strength to break free. You have the courage to stop seeking approval. And in doing so, you will find a peace that is unshakable, a peace that comes from knowing that you are enough, just as you are. 7. The art of saying no, protecting your peace with boundaries. Saying no is one of the most powerful, yet difficult, acts of self-care we can offer ourselves. In a world that often equates kindness with compliance and generosity with self-sacrifice, saying no can feel like an act of rebellion. We are conditioned to believe that by saying yes to others, we are being good, kind, and loving. But in truth, the opposite is often true. By saying yes when we really mean no, we give away our peace, our time, and our energy, all for the sake of others' approval. This isn't love, this is self-neglect. The art of saying no is rooted in understanding that we cannot pour from an empty cup. It is a recognition that our well-being must come first if we are to have anything left to give to others. When we fail to set boundaries, we become depleted, resentful, and overwhelmed. We may believe that by saying yes, we are helping others, but in reality, we are simply building up a reservoir of frustration and fatigue within ourselves. The more we sacrifice our own peace for the sake of others, the less peace we have to offer anyone, including ourselves. Imagine for a moment what your life would look like if you learned to say no without guilt. What if you could protect your time, your energy, and your peace by saying no when something doesn't align with your values, your needs, or your well-being? Saying no isn't about rejecting others. It's about making a conscious choice to protect what matters most to you. It's about being kind to yourself, about understanding that your energy is sacred, and that you have the right to preserve it. When we say no, we create the space for something far more valuable to emerge: clarity. Boundaries aren't walls meant to shut others out. They are tools to help us navigate life with wisdom and balance. When we say no, we are not rejecting the people around us. We are protecting the relationship with ourselves. Saying no is not about being selfish. It is about honoring our own needs so we can be fully present and give more authentically to others when we choose to say yes. It's essential to understand that boundaries are not about control, they are about self-respect. They are the invisible lines we draw to protect our time, our mental space, and our emotional energy. Without boundaries, we lose ourselves in the endless demands of the world around us. Without boundaries, we become a vessel that is constantly drained, with nothing left to offer. But with healthy boundaries, we can create a life that is both nurturing and fulfilling. We learn to say yes to the things that truly align with our purpose and our peace, and we learn to say no to the things that drain us. In relationships, boundaries are especially important. Without them, we can easily fall into patterns of overgiving, of losing ourselves in the service of others. We may feel that we are responsible for others' happiness, or that we must always be there for them, even when it comes at the expense of our own peace. But when we fail to establish boundaries, we unknowingly teach others to take us for granted. We become the ones who are always available, always saying yes, while our own needs go unmet. Over time, this leads to resentment and burnout. True love, in its purest form, isn't about constant sacrifice. It's about knowing when to give and when to protect yourself. Healthy boundaries allow us to love others more deeply because we are not giving from a place of depletion. We are giving from a place of wholeness. Saying no to someone in a compassionate, respectful way is not a rejection, it is a gift. It is an acknowledgement that both you and the other person deserve respect and space to be who you truly are. It is a way to honor both your needs and theirs. The courage to say no also allows us to say yes with more authenticity. When we say yes to everything, we say no to the things that truly matter to us. But when we begin to say no to the things that drain us, we create room for the things that align with our purpose, our values, and our passions. Saying no becomes a form of liberation because it frees us to say yes to the things that nourish our soul, that inspire us, and that bring us joy. Saying no is an act of self-respect. It is a declaration that we are worthy of our own care, attention, and time. It is a choice to stop being a people pleaser and start being a peacekeeper. It is about protecting the life we've worked so hard to build, about creating the space to breathe, to heal, and to grow. The more we practice this art of saying no, the more we begin to cultivate a life that is aligned with our truest self. A life that is not shaped by others' expectations, but by our own desires and needs. If saying no feels uncomfortable, it's likely because we've been conditioned to believe that it's wrong or selfish. But the truth is, we are doing ourselves and others a disservice when we fail to set boundaries. When we say yes out of obligation rather than desire, we create a cycle of resentment, burnout, and frustration. But when we say no with clarity and kindness, we create a foundation of mutual respect, understanding, and balance. There will always be moments when we feel the pull to say yes, to overextend ourselves, to please others. But in those moments, we must remember that our peace is non-negotiable. We must honor our own needs and trust that the right opportunities will come when we create space for them. Saying no is not a rejection of life, it is an affirmation of our own worth. It is a commitment to living a life that is true to who we are, not who others expect us to be. So, take a moment to reflect. What do you need to say no to? What are you holding on to out of obligation or fear? What would your life look like if you started saying no to the things that drain you and yes to the things that nourish you? Saying no is not the end of your kindness or your generosity. It is the beginning of a life where you can give from a place of abundance, not scarcity. It is the beginning of a life where you are free to be yourself, fully and authentically. And in that freedom, you will find the peace that you have been searching for. The power of silence, why you don't have to defend yourself in a world that values expression, action, and constant communication. Silence is often misunderstood. We are taught to justify, to explain, to defend. We are led to believe that if we don't speak up, if we don't fight for ourselves, we will be misunderstood, overlooked, or even dismissed. But there is a powerful truth that many overlook: silence can be more powerful than words. There is strength in not defending yourself, in allowing others' words to pass over you without engaging in the endless struggle for validation or approval. Think of a candle flame in a still room. When the air is calm, the flame burns steady and strong. But when the wind blows, the flame flickers, falters, and often dies. Now, imagine the candle in a room where no wind disturbs it. The flame stands firm, glowing brightly and unwavering. This is the power of silence. When you stop defending yourself, you allow your light to burn more brightly. You remain steady and unmoved by the winds of criticism, judgment, or misunderstanding. Defending yourself constantly is exhausting. It's like trying to fill a bucket with holes. No matter how much you argue, explain, or justify, the emptiness persists. The more you defend, the more you become entangled in the conflict. The need to explain yourself comes from a place of insecurity, a belief that your worth is dependent on how others perceive you. But the truth is, you do not need to defend your existence. You do not need to prove your value to anyone. You are enough as you are. Your worth is inherent, and nothing anyone says can change that. Every time you feel the urge to defend yourself, ask yourself why. What is it that you're trying to protect? Is it your ego, your pride, or your fear of being misunderstood? The more we cling to these illusions of self-protection, the more we distance ourselves from our true peace. When we stop defending ourselves, we stop feeding the very insecurities that drive the need for validation. We stop trying to prove that we are worthy. Instead, we stand firm in the knowing that our worth is already established, without any need for external confirmation. Defending yourself is not about standing up for what's right. It's about needing others to see you in a certain light, needing them to approve, to validate your experience. But when you stop defending, you create space for the truth to stand on its own. You no longer need to explain your actions or justify your decisions, because you know that the truth is self-evident. You no longer need to prove that you are deserving of respect, because you already know that you are. The silence you offer in these moments becomes the loudest declaration of all. Imagine being in a conversation where someone criticizes you. The natural instinct may be to fight back, to argue, to defend your position. But what if, instead, you chose silence? What if you allowed the words to pass through you without reacting? What would happen if you let the conversation unfold without needing to win, without needing to be right? The silence would speak volumes. It would say, I do not need to engage in this battle. My peace is not for sale. This is the power of choosing not to defend yourself. It is the power of letting go, of surrendering the need for approval, and of standing firm in the calm that comes when we are at peace with who we are. In relationships, the need to defend ourselves often arises from a desire to be understood. We fear that if we don't explain ourselves, the other person won't see us clearly, won't understand our intentions. But when we constantly feel the need to explain, we are inadvertently placing our sense of self-worth in the hands of others. We are giving them the power to define us. When we stop defending ourselves, we reclaim that power. We allow others to see us as we truly are, without needing to shape their perception through words or justifications. This does not mean that we allow ourselves to be mistreated or disrespected. Boundaries are important, and sometimes we need to speak up to protect our peace. But the key difference is that when we stop defending, we stop trying to control how others see us. We stop relying on external validation to affirm our worth. We stand tall in our truth, knowing that we are enough, even if others don't understand or agree with us. The act of not defending yourself is an act of profound courage. It is the courage to stand in your truth without the need to explain it to anyone. It is the courage to allow others to form their own opinions without feeling responsible for their perceptions. It is the courage to let go of the need to be right, to let go of the need for approval, and to trust that your worth is not determined by others' opinions. When we stop defending ourselves, we open the door to true freedom. We stop living for the approval of others and start living for ourselves. We stop fighting against the world and start embracing it, knowing that we are enough as we are. This freedom comes from understanding that we are not defined by the judgments of others. We are not defined by the need to be understood. We are defined by our ability to stand firm in our own truth, in our own peace, and in the knowledge that we are worthy simply because we exist. So, the next time you feel the urge to defend yourself, take a step back. Breathe. Ask yourself, what am I trying to protect? Then, remind yourself that nothing and no one can take away your peace unless you allow them to. You are already whole, already worthy, already enough. Let your silence be a declaration of this truth. When you stop defending yourself, you step into the freedom of simply being who you are. And in that space, nothing and no one will ever disturb your peace again. 9. The secret practice that turns setbacks into wisdom. Life has a way of throwing us off course. We experience setbacks, losses, and disappointments that often feel like insurmountable obstacles, crushing our spirits and leaving us questioning everything we thought we knew. In those moments, it's easy to fall into despair, to view these challenges as punishments or signs that we are failing. But what if the real purpose of these setbacks is not to harm us, but to teach us something far greater than we could have learned in times of comfort and ease? What if every difficulty, every failure, and every loss holds within it a lesson that can transform our pain into power? The truth is that setbacks are not the end of the road, they are part of the journey. They are not signs of defeat. They are invitations to grow, to deepen, and to expand beyond the limits we have placed on ourselves. When we approach life with this mindset, we see setbacks not as obstacles, but as stepping stones, guiding us to a place of greater wisdom and resilience. Every challenge we face, no matter how difficult, holds the potential to unlock new insights, new strengths, and new perspectives. Imagine for a moment the earth during a drought. The land is dry, cracked, barren, and lifeless. The ground is thirsty, desperate for nourishment. Then, the rain comes slowly at first, a few drops, followed by a steady downpour. What seemed harsh at first, what appeared to be an unwelcome force, is exactly what the land needed. The rain seeps deep into the soil, nourishing the roots, and bringing life back to the earth. Without the drought, the land would not have been ready for the rain. Without the dry season, the soil would not have been prepared to absorb the nourishment it desperately needed. In the same way, our setbacks prepare us to receive the wisdom that is waiting for us. The pain we experience softens us, makes us more compassionate, and allows us to grow in ways that would have been impossible without the challenges. This is the secret practice that turns setbacks into wisdom, seeing the potential in every difficulty, in every struggle. It is the ability to look at life's challenges and say, what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this experience? When we approach setbacks with this mindset, we no longer see ourselves as victims of circumstances. Instead, we see ourselves as active participants in our own growth. We realize that every hardship is an opportunity for transformation. It's not about avoiding pain or trying to eliminate suffering. It's about accepting that pain is a part of life, and in that acceptance, finding the strength to move forward, wiser and more capable than before. Consider the moments in your life when you faced difficulty. Perhaps you lost something important, experienced failure, or were faced with a challenge that seemed impossible to overcome. In those moments, it's natural to feel overwhelmed, to question why this is happening, or to wonder if you'll ever come out on the other side. But as time passes, you may look back and realize that those experiences taught you something invaluable. Maybe they taught you patience, humility, or resilience. Maybe they showed you a side of yourself that you never knew existed. Maybe they opened your heart in ways that nothing else could have. The setbacks that once seemed like punishments were actually shaping you into the person you were always meant to become. The key to transforming setbacks into wisdom is not in fighting the pain, but in embracing it. It's about allowing yourself to feel the discomfort without letting it define you. It's about acknowledging that, while you can't control everything that happens to you, you can control how you respond. You can choose to respond with strength, with grace, and with the belief that every experience, no matter how painful, is an opportunity for growth. When you do this, setbacks cease to be burdens. They become the soil in which your wisdom, resilience, and compassion take root. It's important to understand that setbacks don't happen to us, they happen for us. Life is not out to get us, but to teach us. Each challenge we face is an opportunity to build the muscles of patience, determination, and understanding. These qualities don't develop when life is easy, they are forged in the fire of adversity. Just as a diamond is formed under pressure, so too is our strength and wisdom honed through the difficulties we encounter. The setbacks we face are the training ground for our inner power. They push us to dig deeper, to reach higher, and to become more than we ever thought we could be. When we embrace setbacks as opportunities for growth, we stop seeing ourselves as powerless. We stop seeing ourselves as victims of circumstances. We see ourselves as warriors on a journey, each challenge we face strengthening us, shaping us, and preparing us for the next chapter of our lives. Life is not about avoiding obstacles. It's about learning to navigate them with grace, to rise after every fall, and to keep moving forward, no matter how many setbacks we encounter. Reflect on a setback in your life that, at the time, seemed like the end of the road. How did it feel? What thoughts did it trigger? And now, with the benefit of hindsight, what have you learned from that experience? How has it shaped you? When you look at it through the lens of wisdom, you may begin to see that what felt like a setback was actually a step forward. It was the universe's way of teaching you something you needed to learn in order to move closer to your true self. This shift in perspective is the secret practice that turns setbacks into wisdom. It's the practice of seeing the opportunity within the adversity, the lesson hidden within the struggle. It's the practice of choosing to rise every time we fall, of choosing to grow every time we face a challenge. It's the practice of trusting that even in our darkest moments, there is something to be gained, a lesson to be learned, a strength to be built, and a wisdom to be uncovered. So, the next time you face a setback, remember this: it is not here to break you. It is here to make you stronger, to help you evolve, to bring you closer to your true power. Embrace it. Learn from it. Let it transform you. For in every setback, there is an opportunity to grow, and in that growth, there is the peace, the wisdom, and the strength that will carry you forward on your journey. 10. How stillness reveals the path forward in a world that constantly urges us to move, to act, to chase. It's easy to forget the power of stillness. We are conditioned to believe that action is the path to success and fulfillment. We are taught that in order to find our way, we must push forward with relentless speed and energy. Yet, in the stillness, in the quiet moments when we stop trying to force things, lies the very clarity we seek. It's counterintuitive, isn't it? We've been raised to believe that to move forward, we must be active, busy, and productive. But when we are in a state of constant motion, our minds become cluttered with noise, and our hearts become clouded with fear, doubt, and impatience. We begin to lose sight of our true path because we are too focused on the next step, too preoccupied with what's ahead to simply be present. We rush through life, believing that speed and action will lead us to where we need to go. Yet in doing so, we overlook the one thing that can truly guide us: stillness. Stillness isn't inactivity, it's the space where clarity is born. It's the place where we reconnect with our inner truth, where we find the answers that have always been within us, waiting to be heard. When we stop the endless pursuit of more, when we stop rushing toward a future that has not yet arrived, we make room for the present moment to speak to us. In that space, the fog begins to lift, and the path forward reveals itself with quiet certainty. Think of a misty morning. The fog is thick, the path is unclear, and you can't see the way forward. If you try to rush, if you try to force your way through the mist, you risk stumbling, losing your balance, or heading in the wrong direction. But if you stop, if you pause and breathe, the fog slowly begins to clear. The path that once seemed hidden is now visible. The journey forward becomes clear, not because you forced it, but because you allowed the stillness to do its work. Life is like this. When we are caught up in the noise of our thoughts, in the pressure of our goals and expectations, we can't see the next step. We are too caught up in the rush, too focused on the destination, to notice the subtle guidance that surrounds us. But when we allow ourselves to be still, when we stop trying to force life into a particular mold, we create the space for clarity to emerge. The next step is revealed, not because we chased it, but because we were patient enough to allow it to unfold. In the stillness, we begin to hear the quiet voice of intuition. This is the voice that has always been within us, guiding us toward what is right for us, but it's often drowned out by the noise of our busy minds. The more we rush, the more we ignore this voice, thinking that we need to figure everything out with logic and effort. But true wisdom doesn't come from constant striving. It comes from pausing, listening, and trusting that the answers are already within us, waiting for the right moment to emerge. Stillness also allows us to release the need to control. We often think that the path to success, peace, or happiness lies in controlling every aspect of our lives. We make plans, set goals, and try to force everything into place. But in doing so, we fight against the natural flow of life. Stillness teaches us that we cannot control everything. Some things are simply beyond our influence, and trying to control them only leads to frustration. When we stop trying to control the outcome, we open ourselves to the natural unfolding of life, which brings us exactly what we need, sometimes in the most unexpected ways. Think of a river. It flows with ease, moving around rocks, branches, and obstacles. It doesn't try to force its way through, it simply flows. The river doesn't fight against the obstacles in its path. It bends, it acts, and it moves forward. This is how we should approach life. We don't need to control every aspect of it. We don't need to push and struggle against the currents. When we stop trying to force things, we can flow with life's natural rhythm. And in that flow, we discover the peace and clarity that comes with surrender. The power of stillness is not in what we can see with our eyes, but in what we can feel with our hearts. It is in the quiet moments when we pause and breathe that we reconnect with ourselves. We stop looking for answers outside and instead begin to listen to the wisdom within. This is where the real guidance lies, deep within, beyond the chatter of the mind, in the stillness of the soul. When you take time to be still, you give yourself the space to hear your own thoughts, to understand your true desires, and to reconnect with what really matters. Stillness is the foundation from which all clarity, peace, and wisdom spring. When you make time for stillness in your life, you allow the distractions to fall away, and you make room for the profound insights that can only come from being present in the moment. In today's fast-paced world, it can feel almost impossible to slow down. There is always something to do, something to achieve, someone to please. But the more we chase these external demands, the further we get from the peace and clarity we seek. Stillness is not a luxury, it is a necessity. It is the breath that allows us to continue on our journey without burning out, without losing ourselves. It is the moment of quiet that lets us hear our own inner voice, guiding us back to what truly matters. So, take a moment now. Breathe deeply. Close your eyes and allow the stillness to fill the space around you. Let go of the need to control, to push, or to rush. Allow the fog to lift, and trust that in this stillness, the next step will be revealed to you. Life doesn't need to be rushed. The path forward is always there, waiting to be discovered in the quiet moments when we finally stop moving. When we trust the stillness, we trust that everything we need will come to us in its own time. And in that trust, we find peace, deep, lasting peace that cannot be shaken by the rush of the world around us. As we've journeyed through the exploration of inner peace, detachment, and the art of letting go, we've uncovered one crucial truth. Peace is not something we attain through effort or external circumstances, but through surrender and acceptance. The more we fight against life, the more we lose ourselves in the chaos. But when we stop resisting, when we let go of our need to control and perfect every aspect of our lives, we discover the stillness that resides within us. This stillness, this calm, is the key to lasting peace. We've seen that each part of our journey, whether it's learning to detach from others' opinions, embracing the courage to say no, or allowing ourselves to move forward in the flow of life, rather than forcing it, points to one central theme: true peace comes from within. The battles we fight are not external, but internal. The storm of doubt, fear, and insecurity that rages inside us can only be quelled when we choose to stop reacting to every thought and emotion, and instead, simply observe them. We are not our thoughts. We are not our fears. We are the silent awareness in which these things arise and dissolve. When we let go of the need to prove ourselves, of the need for approval, we free ourselves from the invisible chains that keep us trapped in a cycle of self-doubt and anxiety. Letting go isn't weakness. It's the strength to trust life, to trust that everything unfolds as it should, and to accept that we are enough, just as we are. Peace comes when we stop chasing after external validation and start nurturing the quiet power that lies deep within us. The journey to peace is a journey of self-awareness, self-compassion, and self-empowerment. It is not about avoiding pain or struggle, but about learning to embrace them as part of our growth. Setbacks become stepping stones, and difficulties become opportunities for wisdom. Through the practice of silence, we create space for clarity, and in that clarity, we find our path forward. Life's true beauty lies in our ability to flow with it, to release the need to control, and to trust that everything is unfolding for our highest good. Now, as you reflect on this journey, think about how you can apply these lessons to your own life. Where are you still holding on to fear, to control, or to the need for approval? Where can you start to say no to the things that drain your peace and begin to say yes to the things that truly nourish you? Remember, the power to change your experience lies in your ability to let go and trust the process. You don't need to fix everything or have it all figured out. You only need to stop fighting and start flowing. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. How do you view the concepts of letting go and finding peace within yourself? What are some ways you've learned to stop fighting and embrace the stillness? Feel free to share your ideas and insights in the comments, so we can all learn and grow together. If this journey resonated with you, consider subscribing to Buddhism in every moment. Your support helps us create more content that brings peace, wisdom, and clarity to your life. Together, we can continue to explore the profound teachings of mindfulness and live in harmony with the world around us. Thank you for being a part of this journey.